You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to Thursday. We call it Thankful Thursday. We are indeed thankful. I'm thankful for a lot of things today. And we have a special thankful sound effect, only a week old. Play it, man.
You got to be more thankful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
We thank you so much for this bountiful harvest of Domino's, KFC, and the always delicious Taco Bell.
Have you said thank you once?
Thank you.
Who's the last thank you? Who is that?
That
Gilbert
is
Gottlieb or-
Michael Scott.
It's Michael Scott.
So we got 2 appearances from Michael Scott in that one. And then 2 appearances of the Zelensky-Trump extravaganza.
I am thankful for the sound effect. I am thankful for you.
Thank you.
How you doing, JP?
I'm great, and you may hate me for this, but I got to do
What?
it today.
Happy birthday.
Oh, my gosh.
Happy birthday.
Oh, jeez.
to you. Happy birthday, dear Phil.
Where'd you get this?
Happy
Oh,
birthday
no.
to you.
Where did that come from?
YouTube is a great place.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm thankful.
I'm thankful for you, and happy birthday
It's
to
Thursday, so I won't throw anything at you.
you. Yes, we're being thankful today.
Thank you very much. Yes, I am. I am about to reach into a new decade right now. Officially there. And this morning, I was having my quiet time early this morning, and I thought, you know what? It's worth it. I'm going to start finding. And I thought back, and I thought of things to thank God for in each of my decades that I've been on Earth, from 1 through 10. Lord, thank you for this, and I remember that, and thank you for that. And then I went through all of them, all the way up to where I am now.
You're entering your 40s, right? So you didn't have to go too far.
Entering my 40s, yes, that's what it is. I'm entering my 40s. I didn't have too much to thank for. It's just, no, dude, the big 6-0, and proud of it. Anyway, thank you very much.
You're
Thankful
welcome.
Thursday. All right, we got a great show laid up for you. This show is going to run itself, y'all. This is unusual. We actually have guests back to back. So coming up at the top of the hour here, at the beginning of the second hour, State Representative Anthony Daniels. And yes, he's a Democrat. And yes, I know that. And yes, he's also a really good guy. And I'll call balls and strikes when I see him. And I think he's right on an issue, and Republicans are wrong. And I want to hear his thoughts on it. So you're going to love this. Top of the first hour, State Representative Anthony Daniels is going to be calling in. And then at 3:30, the middle of the second hour, don't forget, it's Butters and Lee. So Butters and Lee every Thursday, middle of hour number 2, we'll have Butters and Lee on, pinging each other with questions and just seeing where the chips fall. And then at the beginning of the third hour, a guy who's not been on for a while, but he's one of our contributors. He does one of our weekly podcasts, which comes out tomorrow, I believe. Is the Right Click podcast guy, Birdman. Birdman's going to be on because you're going to be amazed at some of the wokeness being wrapped up in the latest versions of some of the most popular video games that are out there. So we'll talk about that with Birdman at 4 o'clock today. All right, and then I still got a triple dipper, so hit it, man.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. First out the gate, we got to do it every once in a while. We got to look around what's happening in our backyard, what's happening in our neck of the woods, what is going on around here with people that literally live in your community. We're going to cook up a whole batch of home fries, so y'all stay tuned. The first thing is going to be all local stuff. Home fries, number 1 on the Triple Dipper. Number 2, y'all, have you seen the Teslas burning? Well, we're going to have number 2 is going to be called Tesla time. We got to spend a little Tesla time because, my gosh, it is unbelievable what the left thinks they can do and get away with. So Tesla time is number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, assuming I can get to it. If not, I'll probably do it tomorrow because it's worth it. Swatting. Have you seen the trend towards conservatives having their houses swatted? It's it's really, really, really dicey. I mean, someone's going to get hurt doing this. And one of those happened right here in Alabama, not far from where I'm sitting. Swatting, that's number 3 on the Triple Dipper. All right, well, let me go over here to the Rightside Way opening monologue. I'll remind you guys that the Rightside Way is brought to you every single day by attorney Stan McDonald. He's a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee, and I will I'll be telling you more about him momentarily. But yeah, Stan McDonald, sponsor daily of the Rightside Way monologue. All right, let me get my notes pulled up here, and I'll just tell you, this topic is actually one of the dippers for the day. But I got to lead off by saying this. So I was at a high school football game one night some years ago, right? I love Friday night games, under the lights, the cool of the fall weather, the band's playing. It's halftime shows. It's concession stands staffed by volunteers. It's kids out there on the field giving all they've got for the chance to play a sport that nobody's getting paid for. They just do it for the pride of being on the team. But at this particular game, there was one play that resulted in a touchdown, but that play was tied to a questionable call by one of the refs. See, the story went, and I was there, I saw it, with 4th and goal, the defense seemed to actually hold the line. But then a flag was thrown, and it was a penalty on the defense, and so it gave the other team one more chance. And they converted for a game-winning touchdown with just minutes left in the game. And was the crowd angry? Yeah, of course they were. But then one of the parents, while I'm watching, one of the parents came down out of the stands, ran out on the field, and punched the ref right in the face. On the field. Knocked him down right there on the field in front of everybody. Now listen, lots of folks were angry, but one man acted on his anger, and the police had to get involved. If you've been watching the news, you're once again wondering how the left gets away with so much. I mean, the other day I spoke about the group that calls itself Indivisible. They're an organized faction of what I call the anger industrial complex. They live and breathe and feed and raise money on nothing but anger. Their website, their social media postings are filled with words like demands and anger and outrage. And they organize events and insist that elected officials show up so they can be shouted at. Let me just suggest that being a public servant is not the same as being a public whipping boy. The simple fact that somebody is an elected official does not remove them from the bounds of simple human decency. But when all you live for is the next burst of anger, well, that seems to be all they have. There's a difference in anger that manifests itself in rage and anger that manifests itself in just mere fervency and passion. BLM became the model. BLM was given a free pass in the summer of love in 2020. While most of us were in near lockdown because of government overreach during COVID, BLM was given free rein just to conduct angry mayhem. It became a coordinated multi-state swath of destruction. Axios did a review and found that just the insurance claims for damages done by BLM mobs came in at over $1 billion. And 15 people died in those riots. Too often, good people, innocent people, are the victims of those who manufacture and foment their anger as a means of pursuing their goals. Well, look, the U.S. is a free speech zone. I mean, it's perhaps the greatest free speech zone in the world. We enshrine the right to public discourse in our founding documents. We protect them in our courts. But just because you can say it doesn't mean I have to listen to it. But when angry people want to yell angry words, their anger can actually spill over. And Indivisible, the organization, is stepping over the line. Indivisible has now named this coming weekend as the Tesla Takedown Weekend right here in our listening area. They've got it planned for Chattanooga. They got it planned for Franklin. They got it planned for Nashville. Indivisible of Tennessee says they got their Tesla Takedown Weekend. And all across the nation, we're seeing a new variant of this Trump derangement syndrome manifesting itself as a Musk derangement syndrome. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, the owner of SpaceX, Twitter, X, and Tesla, has suddenly gone from being the darling of the left to public enemy number one. And the deep irony is, he's the world leader in producing electric vehicles, which is supposed to be one of the super causes of the progressive left. But since he dared to align himself with Trump and start Doge, well, suddenly, Tesla bad, Elon bad, and the Musk derangement syndrome has begun manifesting itself in things like gunshots at Tesla dealerships, cars being burned, Tesla charging stations being destroyed, a rash of individual vandalism on people's cars, keying Nazi swastikas into their innocent Teslas right there in parking lots. And most notably, Elon Musk says there have been threats against his life. And I got news, y'all. That's not speech. That's criminal activity. And to deepen the irony, Musk is the one who actually opened up Twitter, now X, to allow more freedom of expression. But the progressive left is now working to crush his freedom of expression. And let's not forget, by the way, that Musk is actually a private citizen. Tesla is a private company. You want to boycott his company? Go for it. But burning it down is actually off limits. You see, civilized civilians conducting civil disobedience civilly, that's where it's supposed to be. You don't like Musk? Fine. That does not open up your anger to have a physical outlet. Life, limb, and property are being threatened, and at some point soon, there's going to be an actual death caused by this spillover from the anger industrial complex again. This is a real thing, y'all. It is very real. But don't get me wrong. I mean, I love civil discourse, and even to some degree, I appreciate civilized civil disobedience. I mean, more so than any other in recent history, we're seeing in this time that we're in, people conducting the very essence of civil disobedience all over the world, as various forms of government, local, state, and federal, have all coalesced in some areas or operated independently in others to actually curtail the most basic of fundamental freedoms like freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of movement, the right to earn a living. We saw it all, especially during the COVID years. And before any of my liberal trolls, though, want to bow up and throw out some lame response about why they're allowed to riot, let me remind you, there are indeed fundamental human rights that are typically enshrined in virtually every free society. As a lawyer, I can tell you that we often refer to such a body of unchanging moral principles as the natural law, we call it, the natural law. It's like rights that whether or not they're even enacted by statute in the society, they are still enshrined in the natural sense by God, by nature, by reason, by common sense. But there's limits to it, though. There are limits. And violence and mayhem and threats are where we draw the line. You see, civil disobedience is supposed to be just that. It's supposed to be civil. Henry David Thoreau argued in his work that was aptly titled Civil Disobedience that a man must not, quote, for a moment or in the least degree, resign his conscience to the legislator, meaning that there will be times when opposition to higher authority is actually warranted, that your conscience, your opinion can actually dictate your response. But I got news. If you burn my business, trash my reputation, threaten my family, or raid my assets, you're not going to be around to enjoy it much. It's important that in some form of civil sense, with civility, that civilians find their means to conduct civil disobedience. Every once in a while, government needs to hear no. I said all those things a moment ago about liberties being curtailed, especially during COVID. We saw it over and over and over again. But I'm not talking about riots and destruction like the left always pursues. I'm not. I'm not advocating for violence. I would never advocate for that. I am not advocating, though, for sitting idly by either. Not staying quiet, not just taking it because some local hack or some lofty politician or some bureaucrat decided they don't value your freedoms. But y'all, there's a balancing act. There has to be. There's a balancing act. When the left decides that it must destroy opposing views, not just protest them, but actually destroy them, that's when society begins to break down. So if you hear that a group is organizing to stand in the public square and call for our basic freedoms to be curtailed, then consider adding your voice to saying no. If you hear that some of the radicals are talking about going and burning down a car dealership in your area just because they don't like the guy who actually makes the cars, you might want to say no. If social media shuts you down, go to a different platform that welcomes dissenting opinions, because the average Joes and Janes, the right side ruffians out there, is we have to make ourselves heard. But once again, if you hear that a violent, angry mob is working to destroy the public square or take things by force or act out their anger in ways that no rational person would ever agree to, then steer clear of it. Because that is not free speech. That is criminal activity. And the sooner we put a stop to it, the better. Local law enforcement needs to wake up. There is no such thing as free speech when you're burning a Tesla. And that's a wrap for the Right Side Way. Yeah, there you have it. It's maddening to watch. I mean, the BLM riots were like their role model, their template, if you will, their battle plan for how to do it. And they did it over $1 billion and 15 deaths. And they got a pass. Anybody go to jail? I don't recall. And now we're watching this group Indivisible think they can just do the same thing again. It's Tesla takedown weekend. Go pound sand. Bunch of criminals. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just, I mean, like, man, just saving the world one soundbite at a time. All right, so let me get some text messages here in a moment, but I got to do this. I got to tell you about Stan McDonald. So Stan McDonald is the sponsor daily of our Rightside Way monologue. Stan McDonald, he's a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee out of Huntsville. He's a 30-year veteran in the practice of law. And listen, not only is Stan the kind of guy who advocates well for your legal needs, I know him personally. I can say this for a fact. He has also been in the mix for like a long time on the issues and the policies and the politics that right-side ruffians care about, because he's literally one of us. He's an OG ruffian. Attorney Stan McDonald, he has represented his clients in like literally thousands of real estate transactions. He can stand up for you in local, state, and federal courts. I like to say when Stan McDonald is on your side, you will have no greater friend. Likewise, your adversaries would have no greater foe. So I'm going to tell you how to reach him. You ready? Attorney Stan McDonald, the law firm is Wilmer and Lee. He's an America First family man. Here's his phone number, 256-479-3020. That's Stan McDonald, 256-479-3020. Tell him you heard about it on Rightside Radio. I would appreciate that. And the thing, no representation made. The quality of legal service before is greater than the quality of legal service before other lawyers. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
8-1.
8-1.
It was pretty good till the end. You know?
It's always the last little bit.
But you got a boost because it's your birthday. So
okay, thanks. Because the old guy lips can still move fast.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I see a bunch of happy birthdays, and thank you all very much for that. I see it from TL from Huntsville, from Michael from Madison, Joe from Athens, Badger from Athens, Mark from Red Bay. What do we got here? I can't tell. This is a Facebook post, so I can't tell what it is, from Bobby from Huntsville. Navy Phil from Athens says, thank you as always, sir. I believe they are in Huntsville, talking about the guys, the folks from Indivisible. Said, I believe they are in Huntsville demanding a meeting with Dale Strong. They've been on the local TV stations. Yeah, they tried that. Dale Strong told them to pound sand. He and Robert Adderholt both said they had no reason to believe that going there would be in any way productive, because it was designed to be a gotcha shout fest. So why'd subject yourself to it? John from Huntsville says, Phil, spectacular monologue and happy 40th birthday. Thank you very much. Thankful that I'm currently ahead of JP in the Madness bracket. Also, Auburn is currently beating Alabama State. We got to turn that game on. JT Lacey Springs says, I'm convinced the left is getting so sideways that if Trump said oxygen and bowel movements were healthy, they would protest. More of this. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. Hey, all you right side ruffians out there, you are listening to Right Side Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show. Goes way on from Huntsville all the way over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa over to Gadsden. I mean all the way down to that prettiest little town on the plains called Auburn. And oh, yes, stretching across the border then into Fort Benning. It's called Fort Benning again. Yes, it is. And oh, by the way, even big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi thrown in just for good measure. All right, some of y'all texting in, I appreciate it, and I guess I get a couple of those real quick. Josh from Moulton on a happy birthday, thank you, sir, and he also says thankful for Right Side Radio. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you, man. We're thankful for you. Jeff from Indiana sends me a meme. This has an old man yelling at a cloud. Says happy birthday. Thanks. I say old man fight club. That's what I like. Old man fight club. I may put that up on the screen. I've got actually an artistic rendering for that.
Old man fight club.
Old man fight club.
Interesting.
Fear the old man who survives in a young man's world. That's what I say. John from Huntsville says, JP, you made some pretty bold picks.
Yeah, I'm an upset heavy March Madness guy in the first round. But I know which teams not to upset.
But
and,
you also ran two brackets, right?
Yeah, my second one is pretty safe, but my first one I do upset heavy. But the Sweet 16 on is where I come alive. So don't get too comfortable, John. I'm coming for you.
Did you look up that thing that I said I read yesterday about the color blue in like the last 20 Final Fours?
Yeah.
Every team had a color blue in their uniform.
Yeah, it's true. It's pretty crazy.
It is crazy.
Hopefully Michigan State can change that this year because that's what I've got.
Jeff from Athens says, he says, happy birthday, Reverend Colonel Senator Phil Esquire. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you, man. Kim from Athens on a happy birthday, and JP's Red from Tony says JP needs a raise.
Hey.
I'm sorry, shut that one down. Nope. I'm thankful for you, JP. All right, let me jump on in here. I got some stuff here. We're gonna have to look around our own backyard for a minute. And coming up at the top of the hour, at the beginning of hour number 2, I've got a Democrat coming on, State Representative Anthony Daniels. And I will say, I call balls and strikes. If I see Republicans doing something great, I'll call it out, and I'm always glad when they do because that's typically my team, right? Not typically, that's my team. But if I see Democrats doing something right, they need to know they're doing something right, and I'll encourage them and tell them, hey, you're doing it right, do it again. And if I see Democrats doing something right that Republicans are doing wrong, I'll say Democrats are the ones who need to be supported. And this is a case, we may have that. So State Representative Anthony Daniels will be on at the top of the hour to take on the issue of why the Republicans are failing to extend the overtime tax cut they just put in place last year, which, by the way, was his bill as a Democrat. When he came on my show last year, I had some of y'all calling in saying, are you sure he's a Democrat? It's true. He is. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. I served with him when I was in the legislature, and he's still there. We'll talk to him at the top of the hour. Let me do this, though. When you look around your own backyard, when you see things happening in and around and amongst you, you got to take note of those things because sometimes they're more important than what happens in D.C. or elsewhere. I like to call that cooking up a batch of home fries. Oh, yeah. Cooking them up. Just cooking up some home fries. So my Tennessee folks, take a look at what your people have been doing. Tennessee legislature is in gear right now, man. So a storyline off the Tennessean came out just yesterday. The Tennessean reports that the legislature has done certain things and is still waiting on others, some of which they're never going to pass. Some of which, though, it's amazing they already did. Like they already passed massive school choice legislation in Tennessee. That's a big deal because we're expecting right now for Trump in about 20 minutes to sign an executive order from D.C. on school choice. And, oh, by the way, ending the Department of Education. So this is big doings that Tennessee has already put their state law in place, sent it to the governor, just like Alabama did last year. So, yeah, loving to see the trends toward school choice. Tennessee legislature, good job on you. They also passed other bills you might want to know about. I had not thought of this before, but there's a thing now in Tennessee called the Voyeurism Victims Act. It's like peeping toms with cameras, where a group of Nashville women joined forces after they were secretly filmed by an ex-boyfriend. And they found out he was placing cameras in places and filming them and then keeping them and then posting the images. Well, there's now a new crime for unlawful photography in Tennessee. They approved big funding for Hurricane Helene victims because there's a bunch of 17 Tennesseans lost their lives in Hurricane Helene. But there's $100 million now in relief being slotted to try and restore and renovate some of those areas that have been destroyed. They also, loving this, thank you very much, Tennessee now has a new Office of State Immigration Enforcement. They have an immigration enforcement czar at the state level, somebody who will coordinate all of the state's efforts with the federal and do everything they can to have immigration enforcement fully in place at the state level. Coordination, joint task forces, even funding to get it done. That's nothing but good. Now they're still they got one thing here that's actually drawn some attention. And I think this was actually, may have been voted down by Republicans so far. No, not this one. They've got a bill right now they're still considering in Tennessee that would block undocumented children from enrolling, or at the very least charge them tuition. So if you're not a resident, you're here illegally, you can't enroll your child in school. This is going to be dicey, man. Liberals are going to hate this. But the one that's also got voted down by Republicans is a bill that would have made taking the Tennessee driver's license only tested in English. They've already made it their official language for the state. But right now, you can still take the test in like 5 different languages. They were saying not no mo. Republicans themselves voted it down for reasons I don't know. Tennessee, mixed bag signals. Okay. And then lastly, the thing that you think you would look at, you go, gosh, why are we having to do a bill? But we have to do a bill. Requiring overnight school facilities to segregate based on biological sex. In other words, no dorms, no field trips, no nothing, where students are allowed to have gender fluid identities and be housed with opposite biological sex. Isn't it amazing we have to have bills for that now? The kind of thing where you look at and realize a teacher could have gotten run out of town on a rail in years past is like, oh, well, you better pass a law then because I feel like I'm going to do this. I'm going to help them follow their truth. Oh, boy.
Well, at least Tennessee is passing the bills.
Yeah, that was still pending, but yeah. I think that one will pass, I would bet. But there's a couple things happening, and I'm going to hold this one until Anthony Daniels comes on, but I got to say this. Looking at Alabama, hey, you home fry eaters, how about this one? The National Institutes of Health, according to 1819 News, Dateline yesterday, the National Institutes of Health, apparently late last year, gave UAB, the much vaunted UAB, the research giant, the medical school, the facilities there, it's an amazing place, but UAB got a $408,375 grant, you guessed it, to study the masculinizing, gender-affirming hormone therapy effects for transgender men. Nearly $500,000 to study what is called the masculine. Anyway.
Why do they always have to be word salads?
I don't know. I think they hide behind the word salad.
I think maybe they hope people read that and go,
the more syllables, the more dollar signs you get.
They're like, I don't even want to mess with that. I don't even know what that means.
The study is titled The Effects of Masculinizing Gender-Affirming Hormone Therapy for Transgender Men on Susceptibility to HIV-1 Infection Modeled Ex Vivo in Cervical Mucosal Tissue. That's the name of the study. My God, the Scrabble words in that one.
Wah, 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 wah,
That's exactly right. Charlie Brown's teacher's talking to me right now. And here's the write-up. Quote, there are approximately 1.3 million transgender adults in the U.S., and anyway, yada, yada, yada. And they talk about how it's very necessary. Listen, what they're basically saying is they want to know whether transgender lifestyles are leading to HIV infections. Well, what do you think? I don't need I tell you what, I'll take half of that grant to tell you the answer. Just give me $204,000 $161, and I'll just go ahead and tell you the answer.
Yes. All right. Now where's my check?
Actually, yeah, that's about as simple as it gets. The answer rhymes with yes. All right, a couple things here in the stack. There's a bill right now. Oh, wait, I got to go back to UAB again. Yellowhammer News. Dateline 2 days ago. What is it with UAB? UAB is now under federal investigation for race-based scholarship practices. Huh. So we got DEI, we got grants for transgenderism. University of Alabama, Birmingham, according to Yellowhammer, is among several institutions now under investigation for allegedly awarding race-based scholarships in violation of federal anti-discrimination laws. So, yeah. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon issued a written statement saying the department is working to reorient civil rights enforcement to ensure that all students are protected from illegal discrimination. Students must be assessed according to merit and accomplishment, not prejudged by the color of their skin. Again, here we are in Alabama, the place where liberals still want to say we're racist, and yet we have overcome so much, and we were the cradle of the modern civil rights movement. This is where Martin Luther King was. This is where the Edmund Pettus Bridge is. This is where Rosa Parks chose not to give up her seat. This is the state where all those things happened, and so much came out of Alabama. No state has come further, and yet we got jackassery like this, like UAB going, hey, why don't we just use skin color as a determination for who gets a scholarship? The only way they got away with it was because they were doing it just the opposite. Instead of whites-only scholarships, they were giving it to minorities. Like that somehow made it better. It's the same thing, just in a different direction.
And you asked what's up with UAB. Unfortunately, they're now in one of the most liberal cities in the South, I would say, of Birmingham, and led by Woodfin. And I don't know if that translates to anything at all, but, you know, it is in an area where all that is pretty normal.
Well, okay, so I will say this. You're right. Their hub is in that, but they really transcend the borders of their city. They're nationally known. They're a research institute. They're a major a medical center. They're a medical school. People come from all over the world to go to school there. And so they're bigger than their location. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is not like a local community college.
Yeah.
They are truly even beyond that. I mean, to your point, they're definitely the most liberal part of our entire state. But wow, the stuff that they're doing. I mean, I guess they'll take money for anything. So we're gonna take a break right now. When we get back, I got to tell you, there's some tax cuts coming out of Montgomery. Good ones. I like tax cuts. The crazy thing is, and the little piece they don't want you to know, is these tax cuts are being done as they do away with another tax cut that would have actually saved more. Interesting. How do they do that? I'll tell you. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just making common sense like a superpower. So we're in this section I like to refer to as home fries. Oh, yeah, cooking them up. Just cooking them. Home fries. All right, things that are happening around here. Just so you know, breaking news out of the Mississippi legislature. Phil, are we talking about Mississippi? Yes. Yes, we are. Why? Because the Mississippi legislature may have just voted to do away with their state income tax. Like, I'm looking at it. Now, the post that I've got says, breaking, the Mississippi legislature has overwhelmingly voted to eliminate the state income tax, historic win for Mississippi workers and the future of our economy. And I'm looking at the board. I can see it, but by the number of votes on it, I can tell it's a House vote. There's always more members of a House than there are of Senate. What I don't know is, did it already go through the Senate? I doubt it, because most of the time in most states, matters related to tax and appropriation have to begin in the House. The origination has to be the House. But I'm looking at the post right here, and I tell you what, JP, go ahead and just Google that. Did Mississippi just vote down its income tax? And it may be still going to the Senate. Either way, that's big doings.
House votes to send it to the Senate.
So it's okay.
It's going to the Senate.
It's House only. Even still, that's big doings.
I'm sorry. If Mississippi gets rid of their state income tax before Alabama does, that's embarrassing. No offense to Mississippi, okay, but I feel like Alabama's economy is in a much more in a much better place. And if Mississippi can find money to do that, then Alabama surely can, right? With the economy that we got in Huntsville and Birmingham and Mobile, like, come on.
What they're going to face in Alabama is the archaic split budgeting process we have here defeats the effort to do that kind of thing every time. We are one of the only states in the nation that has two budgets. Everything in the world, education, is in one budget. Everything else in the world that it takes to run our state, like mental health, prisons, Medicaid, court systems, all that, is in a separate budget called the general fund. Almost all of the payroll and income taxes go to the education budget. So the teachers union scraps like cats and dogs. Anytime you want to touch something that says that money goes to education, oh my God, the sky is falling, and it just becomes this hysteria. So I can tell you right now, the difficulty would be that we have a hard time in Alabama being able to fully appropriate, because so much of our money is trapped in one budget and the other budget can't use it. So if you have a surplus over here, it doesn't mean you have a surplus over here. It's a mess. But anyway, Mississippi, look what you're doing. How about in Tennessee? Tennessee Lookout right now reports, as of today's date, that grocery tax cuts are on the table right now for Tennessee legislature. So they're looking at right now cutting the full 4% of the state's sales tax on groceries. Alabama is fighting to get there. Alabama did pass a grocery tax cut, but they couldn't go all the way because that was scary. You know, we got to wait and see how this goes. So
Slow your roll, guys.
That's right. Hey. You know why? It goes to education. But so they cut it a little bit, and they put a threshold. Well, if you can get to a certain point, like in the budget, we're making a lot of money, then we might cut a little bit more. You know what that means? A grocery tax on staples like milk, bread, eggs, all of it, a grocery tax is one of the most regressive taxes in the nation, and we are one of the only states left that has a grocery tax. Believe it or not, because most states recognize that the poorest among us still have to buy their main staples for food. Most people don't grow it in their backyard. Most people don't slaughter the fatted calf themselves. They have to go buy it. And when you tax the groceries, you catch everybody. I mean, la-di-da-di, everybody has to pay grocery taxes. So if you want to cut something meaningful, fellas, how about that? And then there's what we're going to talk about with our Democrat friend Anthony Daniels here momentarily. State Representative Anthony Daniels came with a bill just a couple of years ago in 2023 that exempted overtime pay. He was on my show talking about it. People out there were saying, are you sure he's a Democrat? Because he was literally saying we want to cut taxes on people who are working hard to put more money in their pocket and encourage people to go to work. And so they did. So since that time, they've had this bill that, here's the problem. The legislature's like, oh, shoot, I think we gave away too much money. What do you mean? Well, we projected it was only going to be about $34 million in losses to the education budget, but it appears it's going to be more like $300 million. So it came out like 9 times bigger. What does that mean? That means a lot of people went to work making overtime dollars. That means a lot of factories, a lot of hourly work was going at a much higher rate because people are getting in there and working. Why? Because they're putting more in their pocket. That's a level of productivity we weren't seeing before. So this sounds like a good idea, except that the Alabama legislature appears ready to let it lapse because it has to be renewed or it stops in June of this year. It's scary. It's very scary. I got news, fellas. It ain't that scary. You know you've got surpluses in both budgets, and you know our economy is on the uptick. Man up. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee's syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international, and oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 2, and coming into hour number 2, I'm still doing Dipper number 1, calling it home fries. So we like to cook up a batch of home fries periodically, tell you what's happening here in your own backyard. I gave you several things right before the break. I told you about the fact that the Tennessee legislature is looking right now at doing away with their grocery tax completely, just being done with it. That the Mississippi State House just today voted to overwhelmingly eliminate their state income tax completely. The Alabama legislature just passed a 4-bill tax cut package, just in the House at least, that reduces a little bit more of the state sales tax on groceries. It could create some savings in other ways for people. But the interesting dynamic is it may actually raise taxes on paychecks. How would that be? Well, I'm bringing on somebody who's been on the show before, who I served with when I was in the legislature. State Representative Anthony Daniels is the representative from the House District 53. He hails from the Huntsville region. He's a former congressional candidate also. He's also a Democrat, and he's the House Minority Leader in the State House of Representatives. He's on the phone right now. State Representative Anthony Daniels, how you doing?
Doing good, Senator. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for making time for us, man.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Hey, listen, you've got this bill. You came on my show back when y'all passed it in 2023. Actually, you were still working to pass it, and we talked it through, and it got overwhelming support from my listeners, and y'all passed it in the legislature to do away with the tax on state income tax on or payroll taxes on overtime pay. Let's back up and, if you don't mind, remind the audience why this was important and why you carried that bill and where it sits now.
Well, it's important, Phil, because it puts more money back in the pockets of hardworking Alabamians. What we've found is that we have a workforce participation problem in this country, and we're just taxing our citizens to death, basically.
Yeah.
But how is it that we get 5% of the first 40 hours of taxes from a person's paycheck, and then you want 5% of time and a half, and so you're taxing people that are willing to work a little extra to provide for their families at even a higher rate on overtime. And so I just felt that in order to increase workforce participation, while at the same time giving hardworking Alabamians more of their money back, was just the right thing to do, and still think it's the right thing to do.
Well, and y'all did it. I mean, you put it in place, but one of the things that really got me was House Republicans, actually House and Senate Republicans, couldn't abide by the idea of just making it permanent. They had to try it out dip their toe in the water and try it out for a couple of years, and now they're looking at doing away with it. Am I right?
Yeah, there's some that if they could have their way, they want to do away with it, but there's a lot of support, Democrat and Republican support, that wants to extend it permanently because we've seen a 13.65% increase in corporate tax receipts in just 1 year, which is equivalent to $191 million new dollars.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing 1.9% increase in individual income taxes, which is $138 million. And we're not even talking about what you're getting back in sales taxes and other ways. And so you're actually getting back double what you say it's costing the state of Alabama.
Well, I think one of the things, personally, listen, let me back up and use my words. The reality is what you just described is this tax cut that y'all put in place, the bill that you carried, may not only be just blessing people with putting more in their pocket, it may be driving productivity and giving companies the ability to basically become more productive overall. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, significant increase in profit margin
Well, all right.
and
So
growth.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
And growth, because I had one company reach out to me and said that they've been able to, because of this piece of legislation, they've been able to add new clients where
Oh,
they're
wow.
producing, where they're able to export some of their goods and services because they have enough from a workforce standpoint for the productivity. They're producing enough to add on another client, which is going to increase their profits even going to the next year.
Well, one of the things that I think has happened here is members of the legislature got scared because they realized they're giving back more than they thought they'd have to give back. Am I right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I saw some estimates saying y'all thought you might wind up seeing a loss to the potential revenue stream to the state of 34 million, and it's come out at like 9 times. Like you're seeing one price tag according to AL Daily News is like 300 million a year, but yet you're saying you're seeing that you're overcoming that with receipts in general. Am I right?
Yeah, receipts. You're seeing in receipts, and you're also seeing from a workforce participation standpoint, you're seeing more people disproportionately go into the sectors that offer overtime to seek jobs.
Well, I know one of the usual opponents of this kind of thing is going to be the teachers union. I mean, the AEA usually opposes things that impact the education trust fund. So is the AEA vocal on this, or are they silent? Where are they on the idea of extending this thing? Do you know?
Well, they've been pretty solid because they have members that are hourly workers,
Ah,
and so some of the cafeteria workers and other support staff, they're actually benefiting from this.
well, that makes sense. I mean, that sort of removes some of the fight right there. So I guess what I'm looking at then is Republicans are basically giving up on something they say they stand for. This is not like they're even having a big fight. It sounds like this could be a win-win. They're just worried about how much they're giving away, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, and I think that the problem is that those individuals, when you hear a number, that's why they're not dynamic scoring it. I think it also impacts, Phil, and you and I both know this. It exposes some of because I wanted to add to dynamic score it, and I want to dynamic score any piece of legislation that exceeds $50 million anyway. So that we know that we're being good stewards of taxpayers' dollars and we're not waiting to full implementation to decide whether or not something is working or not. We're doing it along the way. And so I think that there's this fear that it may expose some of the pet projects that other folks have in the budget that may not be performed.
No, don't shine a light on this thing. Please don't make eye contact with me. Well, listen, so where's the bill right now? I know you've drafted a bill, proposed legislation to extend the deadlines or make it permanent for that matter. Otherwise, it runs out in June. Am I right with that?
Yeah, there's a bill dropped this morning.
Okay, so you
So
have
it's
dropped
already
one.
been introduced.
Great.
Yep.
What's leadership telling you about it?
Well, they're hoping that the tax cuts that were proposed by the House will get enough steam. And so let me say this to you, Phil. What I've polled eliminating the grocery tax, right?
Right.
But I've also polled eliminating it, saving you 1 cent on a dollar or 2 cents on a dollar. Totally different outcome.
So what do you find?
2 cents on a dollar. 2 cents on a dollar has less than 40% support.
All right.
But when you say totally eliminate the grocery tax, it has 90% support.
There you go. Yeah. And listen, I remember when that thing polled statewide back in the day, it polled so high that I think I made the comment, you couldn't poll "Do you love your mama" and get numbers as high as we got on this. This is overwhelming support, bipartisan.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. So you got the bill, though, back on the overtime tax thing. You've got the bill right now to extend it. Leadership is hoping that everybody will look the other direction with the bait and switch on the big tax cut package they just did. But you've dropped it in. It's got committee possibility. What committee is it going into? Do you recall?
It'll have to go to the ETF.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. And then from there, you guys are, where are you right now? Are you roughly halfway through the legislative session?
Yeah, we're right over the halfway mark.
Okay. So we got time to move, but we don't have time to waste, is what it sounds like.
Absolutely. And I think what has to happen is that voters and your listeners have to start making calls to their legislators. I'm beginning to get coverage. There have been a couple of legislators walk up to me today and say, "What can I do to help?" Because I'm getting all these calls about this bill.
Yeah.
I mean, about extending overtime, and what can I do to help? Really without pissing the leadership off.
Well, but you know what? Sometimes that's what you got to do. And in fact, leadership can have a say, but in the end, they got to have the votes. So, listen, brother, I enjoyed working with you when I was down there. I appreciate what you're doing on this bill. I encourage you in it. And if we can do something to help you on this show, you tell me. Or if you want to come back on again and give us updates, we'll do that too. All right?
I'd love to do it, man.
All right. Take care. State Representative Anthony Daniels, House District 53 out of Huntsville, working to cut taxes. We appreciate it very much. We will take a break right now, but let me just tell you, that right there was a minority leader, Democrat from the House of Representatives. Is he a Democrat on my show? Yes, he is. And I also call balls and strikes. If Democrats are doing something right, I will say so. And he's right on this issue. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Pulling pins on truth grenades. So I hope you got that conversation down a minute ago. So it is indeed a Democrat who brought the bill in 2023 to basically exempt overtime pay from state taxation. Kind of cool. Never really thought about it that way. In fact, I don't think it ever occurred to me that you could divide out a person's paycheck and tax piece, but not this. And what it did was it drove people to the point of being, not drove people, it helped people to become more productive. They had an opportunity to make more money by working more hours, but businesses are now finding they can keep people on the clock and get more productivity overall. And of course, you heard him say at one point, he's even had a company tell him, I was able to get more clients because I had more availability and bandwidth to be able to provide for the clients that, for the widgets that we make. So all that to say, it's very cool. The state legislature is about to let it drop. They're going to let it go because it's just scary because they're giving away too much money. Well, you're making more money off of it. If you're making more money off of it, if it's benefiting people, their argument, by the way, and I didn't mention this when I was talking to State Representative Daniels, but their argument on the Republican leadership side is, well, we're going to do other things that will benefit more people on a broader scale. Do both. There's a novel idea. Do both. You want to cut the grocery tax? Well, we want you to cut the grocery tax, please. You want to have more productivity in the state and get the labor participation rate up. Well, keep the exemption on state income tax on overtime pay. Give them a little bit more back. You just be amazed how much people would appreciate it.
I thought Republicans were the party that were pro-tax cuts.
Whoa, careful. Don't be going down that road. You're right. You're right.
It's just amazing.
You're right.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of any reason why they would be against it other than, like you said, just complacency and I don't know. Hopefully they can, they can feel the pressure from people on this, but it's looking like it's not going to happen.
Well, you watch. They're gonna tell you how much they saved you in taxes, while at the same time turning off a good one, and that that's just so.
It's like a tax swap instead of a tax cut.
Exactly, it is, and it's going to wind up having it's going to be less impactful in some ways. Tom with all the kids checking in says, Tom with all the kids from Huntsville says, I spend more on groceries now than my entire monthly take-home paycheck as a second lieutenant back in 1997. Wow. Whew. Yeah, but Tom, you do he feeds an army.
He's feeding like what, 14, 15 kids?
Just like Tom with all the kids. That's why we call him that. Kennan from Huntsville, Alabama says, I just got a proxy vote solicitation from Boeing for shareholders meeting, which includes a proposal to report on DEI and related risks. Okay, that's totally off topic, but thank you very much. The board's against it, but I'm voting for it. Okay. Thanks very much, Kennan. Appreciate that. We'll watch for that. Shiri from Madison says, happy birthday. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And then Mike from Florence says, I hit the big 6-0 2 years ago. He said, when any of the young bucks give me any trouble, I remind them that I've been through a lot that should have killed me a long time ago. Don't have much life left to lose, so give it your best shot. And then being the gentleman I am, I also remind them that I'm disabled, so they proceed to hurt me. My attorney will be in touch. He says, by the way, it never comes close to that. When those words of wisdom, I doubt it ever will. Good stuff, man. Appreciate you. And then Brian S. from Huntsville sends me a picture of Trump saying happy birthday. Whoop, whoop. That's nice. Appreciate all of you folks. Thank you very much. Okay. Auburn's playing ASU right now. And I will confess, we do have it up on the screen. So we're watching as Auburn was a little concerning. They were playing what I would call lackadaisically for most of the first half. At the very last second, with only a 1-point spread between them, Auburn pulled ahead by 10 points going into the half. Like within a minute, they went like 10 points on a 10-point unanswered run. But they're right now leading ASU 54-36 at 14:29 in the second. So we've got some game left to play. But yeah. Real quick, how much time do I have? Do I have time for a call?
Got about 2.5 minutes.
Let me do it. I got Matt and Madison on the phone. Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I just want to quote a famous commercial.
Okay.
It's my money and I want it now.
Yeah. I'm going to be singing that stupid song now the rest of the show. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean, are you hourly yourself? Do you benefit from this overtime tax?
I do. And it was remarkable the difference after they got done, taking all my money. And when I realized how much, it's sickening. It makes you just want to scream.
Yeah.
And the creative ways they got to take the cents out of each dollar and break it down to nothing, it's just, you got to admire the creativity.
Yeah, I know it. Well, listen, man, call your state legislator. If you don't know who they are, you can go to the Secretary of State's website and plug in your zip code. It'll tell you who they are. But call your state reps and state senators and tell them you want that overtime tax to be extended.
I'll do it. I have every intention of doing it.
All right, man. Let me know how that goes, okay? All right, take care. All right, listen, we got about 30 seconds. I want to tell you right now, we're going to keep our eyes on this Auburn-ASU game. There's no reason in the world why Auburn should not prevail big. I'm talking bigly, like huge.
Well, ASU made it close, and then Auburn decided to stop playing.
I was saying that when you were on the phone a minute ago. But the thing that worries me is Auburn was 1-out against Yale last year. We were talking about that offline. And, oh, by the way, ASU's got everything to prove.
Yeah, and nothing to lose.
And nothing to lose. So, Auburn, just remember who you are. Thank you very much. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, coming up next. Butters and Lee. Hey, all you right side ruffians out there, you are listening to Right Side Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Man, covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show. Ooh, goes from Huntsville all the way back to Chattanooga, Tuscaloosa all the way back to Gadsden, down to that prettiest little town on the plains called Auburn, straight across to Fort Benning. Yes, it's called Fort Benning, and big patches of Georgia and Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. All right, it is the middle of the week. It is the middle of the second hour. That means it is time to bring in a couple of friends who are really a part of the fabric of the show. They're like OG ruffians who do a lot of stuff in the background that we love and can't do without. So let me call the roll. With the smooth, sexy, silty voice from right here in the region, the technical guru who does great things for Right Side, Butters, are you there?
I am here, and happy birthday.
Oh, and thank you very much. Thank you, brother. All right, then turning to my north slightly, my northwest, I'm looking up there for the diva of punditry, Lee from Huntsville. Are you there?
I'm here. I get something different every week. Diva of punditry.
The
Okay.
diva of punditry. I pronounce a quorum. Let's do some Butters and Lee. All right, you guys, y'all know the deal. I ask the questions, you guys sling out some answers, then we take a quick break, come back, and y'all ask me questions. So I'm going, here's my first question. Teslas are burning. I mean, like, it's gotten really to the point of being way out of hand. Teslas are burning. Musk derangement syndrome is real. But where are the ironies in all this? And you tell me what you see. Where are the ironies in all this? And by the way, how does the left get away with this stuff? So I'm going, Butters, you first. What do you got? Where are the ironies, man?
Well, so I think the best one I have seen so far is a diesel guy posting a video of rolling coal on a bunch of people out protesting Teslas.
I saw that.
I think that sums up basically what's going on in America right there. And then you've got all these folks that are going out and buying cars to support. It's just an American thing. So there's a lot of ironies. How on earth they get away with it? I think it's because we let them. You know, how did we get here? It's because we, slow burned and let them get away with some really crazy stuff. So hopefully that's changing.
Well, hopefully it is. And yeah, I mean, I tell you what, I won't poison the well. Let me jump over there to Lee real quick. Lee, Tesla's burning, Musk derangement syndrome. What are the ironies, and why do they get away with this stuff?
Well, they get away with it because the majority of the mainstream media and political opinions lean left. And so it's just whatever the message is at that moment. So the message right now is, Rocket Man bad. And so then it's okay to attack people's personal vehicles, for goodness sake, or an entire dealership, which is owned by individuals. You're just hurting these people. You aren't hurting Elon Musk. They just don't understand that because they just think based on what the message is and what they're, and what they're told. They're very much subservient group, right? And they're just going to go and do and protest and do whatever they're told. And the irony is that these are electric cars that they've championed, a decade ago, 5 years ago, they're championing and hollering about
They
electric
championed them
cars,
6
and now
months
they're
ago.
like, I mean, you're right. But I'm just saying, like, that was going to be the future, and now all of a sudden they're like, well, electric cars, but not this electric car. And you're like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
You just get whiplash with their opinions.
Yeah. What do you say, Butters?
It's just it is so clear it has nothing to do with the environment.
Yeah.
And the whole environment's it's an existential threat. Your actions just don't line up with your message there, guys, which is par for the course, it seems, these days for the Democrats.
I would completely agree with both of what y'all said, but I look at this too, and I think Elon Musk was kind of a Democrat until most recently, and I'm not sure he's entirely.
Not kind of. He was.
Well, it's true, he was, and I'm not sure he's what I would call a true conservative. Although I think he's really found his feet in the conservative movement, and has probably changed some of his views to some degree. But y'all, this guy was one of theirs, and he's still doing all the same things in terms of what he manufactures. And he just rescued astronauts, for crying out loud, and did it flawlessly. And all they can do is go out there and find cars that Musk has already made money on and scratch them up with Nazi swastikas and set them on fire. It just boggles the mind.
He could deliver a baby in the back of a Tesla truck and people would cuss him. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and not to mention the technology innovation with the cameras and all that kind of stuff recording. I mean, it's one of the dumbest things you could do as a criminal act.
There are cameras all over a Tesla, and we've seen multiple online social media now where people think they're being cool, scratching the Nazi swastikas or whatever else into the hood or the side, and never realizing their pictures now all over social media. I say find them, fix them, and Pam Bondi is now saying they're going to be behind bars. She's going to catch these people because this is criminal act, and it's turning into a hate crime if you get down to it.
Well, get busy, Pam.
Get busy, Pam. Come on. God, you've been in office. Been in office for a whole 28 days.
I'd kind of like to see more action and less of her talking on the news, but
on Fox News, yeah.
I don't want to get off track.
Okay. All right. Next question. Let's talk about the other thing that's really making a lot of headlines. That's just really screwed up. Swatting. So it's like more and more becoming a tool of the left to try and make the conservative life miserable. Swatting, where they call in a fake report that there's a hostage situation or a shooting at someone's house, and the police rush over there loaded for bear, stack up on the door, and come to find out everybody's asleep and sound. But you know what? There's one guy here in Alabama that literally, he's a conservative named Larry Alex Taunton, and he literally said, I heard noise. My dog woke me up. I grabbed my gun. He said, I'm just glad they didn't breach the door, or I probably would have fired at them. And it could have gotten really ugly. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on all this, and what do we need to do to stop it? Lee, you first this time.
Well, you're an attorney. What is it called if you do an act that could lead to the death of someone?
I'm sorry, you don't get to answer my question with a question. That's not the way this works.
But I'm just saying, what do you call that? Manslaughter? I don't know.
Answer the question.
So
there is manslaughter. There is manslaughter. There is murder. There is both. Manslaughter being unpremeditated potentially. There's criminally negligent homicide. So there's various versions, but killing somebody is killing somebody, depending upon intent.
What I'm saying is that I think if you call in a SWAT to someone, you should be charged with attempted homicide, attempted manslaughter. I don't think there's attempted manslaughter, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing something that you know good and damn well could result in the death of someone. Be it a person, you're endangering the people that live in the house, which a lot of these people have children. You're endangering their pets. Like, what if one goes to the door and they shoot the dog? I mean, then it's going down.
Yeah.
And you're endangering the police officers. They don't know what's happening.
That's right.
You're putting everyone in danger, and by God, you should be dragged out. I want to see them in handcuffs where they handcuff their ankles and hands together, dragged on their stomach all the way to the police car and tossed in, because they need to go to prison with real prison time for doing this. I am sick and tired of it, and this is a new method to try to hurt conservatives. I knew they wouldn't go quietly into the good night for these 4 years. I knew that, and I knew it was the calm before the storm. But I think that we need to get real on these people.
Okay, so the unvarnished opinion from Lee. Thank you very much, Butters. Before I throw in some other stuff, what do you got?
Well, I guess it makes it easy to know who to follow on social media. So. See somebody posted that they got swatted, and well, all right, you must be saying something right.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, I mean, I'm there with Lee. I guess particularly just from the Leo side of the law enforcement officer side of things, and the life endangerment. We got to be very serious. I'm interested. I don't really know because I haven't really talked to a lot of Leos any time recently about what's going on in the community of law enforcement of handling this. But I would think they'd want to take care of their own because it's a huge danger to the law enforcement officers out there. And just I guess I fall on the side of if you mess with Leos, there's a special place for in the law and in the ramifications for doing that kind of stuff because they already got enough to deal with. So I hope they come down hard.
And I agree. And I think my belief is they need to start passing state and potentially federal laws saying that swatting is indeed an attempted murder. Or rises to that level. You got to make it a felony in some way because right now just making it a misdemeanor false report is absolutely not enough because this is
not good enough.
This is sicking people with guns into bad situations where for a fact, and I don't know, maybe it's a kid doing it and they need to be taught a lesson, but I think that a lot of what we're seeing right now, these are calculated efforts by adult anarchists who believe that it's A, funny, and B, a way to get you. And they're not taking into account that what they're doing is putting people in harm's way. Here's the other piece that I haven't heard y'all say yet that I think is really important. It also becomes like the boy who cried wolf. At some point, law enforcement doesn't know whether they got a real situation or not. Law enforcement's been called out 3 and 4 times in the last 10 days. They don't know whether to show up, heavy on this one. And so they roll up light or they roll up sort of, lackadaisically because they've lowered their expectations and all of a sudden it's live and then somebody dies because law enforcement had been lulled into a false sense of complacency by too many false reports. That's a big deal.
That's true.
I mean, one thing I will say is it kind of backfires in some ways because conservatives, I've seen a bunch of them going and talking to their local law enforcement, coming up with their own plans. Like we'll solve problems.
Yeah.
If you really want to throw this at us, we'll solve problems. We'll work with law enforcement and figure out how to put things in place. So, it kind of helps prove the point of the capabilities of the right versus the craziness on the left.
All right.
You don't
go ahead.
see leftists. You don't see people on the left getting swatted. Not really.
Funny how that works. That works. And right now, you also don't see people on the left, people on the right burning electric vehicles either. You don't see us out there, staging BLM riots
or
and forcing politicians to kneel. Yeah, I mean it's just nuts what they keep getting away with. It drives me crazy.
We just go to work.
Oh, that's true.
Right, we have jobs.
Oh, there you go. We're not paid rabble rousers. Okay. Well, let's do this. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. We'll switch gears. Round 2 of Butters and Lees, where I sit back and wait to find out what they ask me and just hope I can react to it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Man, making common sense like a superpower. All right, we're going back to round two with Butters and Lee. I'm going to go ladies first on round two. Lee, what you got for me?
So, kind of back to the Tesla discussion for a minute.
I
sent you a thing about indivisible and the Tesla takeovers. My question for you is two-parter. One, should this group be held monetarily responsible for damages that happen to these organized rallies, during these organized rallies to these vehicles, A? And B, do you think that regular, ordinary Americans should just go and stand in front of these Tesla places and be like, no more of this, no?
Okay, so multiple questions there. First of all, I talked about it in my monologue at the beginning of the show. Appreciate you giving me the heads up on that because I hadn't seen it until you sent that to me. But I found another story that even went into greater detail on it. Tesla Takedown or Tesla Takeover or whatever they're calling it, Indivisible, funded by George Soros, is sponsoring all these anger rallies. Anger, tell them about your outrage. And they're being linked to some of the damage to Tesla dealerships in other parts of the country. Now, I will say this, the linkage has been somewhat circumstantial, but they are certainly some of the ones fomenting the discord. So if there is true damage that can be linked to them, they should absolutely be held accountable. They got like a $7.3 million grant from George Soros last year. They can pay the damages, and they should.
Mm-hmm.
But proving there's got to be some collusion, some conspiracy. There's got to be some, direct action. If you find one of their staff members or somebody who is being paid by them, because that's one of the things. Some of these protesters are paid. So if you're getting, by the way, Indivisible is also agreeing to pay people's receipts for getting to the rallies. So folks who are spending big money trying to drive in to the rally can send their receipts to Indivisible and get paid back. I think that qualifies for sponsorship. So if the person
that's almost like an employee-employer relationship. Like, what are they doing there?
Well, it's going to be an independent contractor. It's going to be a 1099.
Right.
But at the same time, if they're there, and they would not have otherwise been there but for your participation in reimbursing their expenses, then I think you bear some culpability at the very least. I absolutely do. And, by the way, the last part of your question before I go to Butters is should good, honest Americans go stand in front of them and say, stop the madness? Careful. Counter-protest can get dicey. I think law enforcement needs to be allowed to do their job, but you can certainly support your dealerships and tell folks that you're not going to stand for this. Got to run out of time. That was almost a filibuster. Butters, what do you got for me?
All right. So are we ever going to not make everything about politics? I just...
What now?
No.
Astronauts, the space, it's amazing what just happened and how incredible it is that we live in a time when we just gloss over. I've dealt with military operations where we can't even get two different services to talk on the same radios.
Oh, yeah.
And you got a civilian, how amazing is what happens? This rendezvous going up, rescuing,
1 minute.
Why is there not more discussion about all of that? Why is it all about politics?
I'll be honest with you. It's not all about politics. I mean, there was a lot of backslapping, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of congrats about, And by the way, did that not look picture perfect, like something out of an AI generated movie when that thing came splashing down, those beautiful chutes just kind of collapsed slowly in the water. It was amazing. But we also know it's been said and it's been confirmed that Joe Biden literally declined to let SpaceX help last year when he couldn't rescue those astronauts who stayed up there 7 months and 3 weeks longer than they were supposed to. So the bottom line is this. There were some non-political aspects to it that are certainly making the news. There's been a lot of, like I said, the attaboys. But there's some politics in here that need to be addressed. Like, how in the world can you leave somebody up there when you have a means to do it? And, by the way, Trump proved it with less than 60 days in office. So there's going to be some politics, brother. There's no way around it. We're a polarized nation.
I know. I know we've got so many folks up in Huntsville that are involved in a lot of the space stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so lost on so many people, I think, on just how amazing that whole evolution is. And, you know,
And
to,
all the
to
more
go to space for 8 days and live up there for 9 months and nobody died. It's just,
and then a private entity brought you home with 60
Yeah.
days notice. How cool
Yeah.
is that? How cool is
Very.
that? All right, you guys, appreciate both of you. Thankful for you here on a Thankful Thursday. That's Butters and Lee. Coming up next, we're going to spend a little time with the Birdman calling in. Hadn't had him on in a while. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening live to Rightside Radio with Phil Williams. It's hard to go wrong when you're on the right side. Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama and Tennessee syndicated news talk leader, Rightside Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Rightside studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, sometimes the international, and oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 3. We are in hour number 3 here on Thankful Thursday. Thankful for all of you. Also thankful for the other people that you may not know as well who make all this stuff work. So you guys, listen, I say it all the time, but Rightside Radio is only one of the productions of Rightside Media, the parent company. Rightside Media, the parent company, has got a ton of stuff going on, like a ton. So we got the daily radio show, obviously. We got the written work that goes out to just tons of different news outlets around the region every week. And then we've also got, oh, by the way, a series of podcasts. We got the audio podcast of the show itself. And then we've got 5 other video podcasts that come out every week. And they're just spot on. We've got The Controversial Mom with Emily Jones. We've got The Liberty Minute with Jared Hudson. We've got my own Right Philosophy that comes out periodically. We got another one in the works right now. But then every Friday, we have one that comes out called Right Click. And Right Click is one of our originals. Right Click has been out since almost the time we've been doing podcasting. And Right Click is led by Birdman. And Birdman himself is a former competitive gamer. He's a high-tech guy, and all of his conservative street cred, if you will, is also backdropped by those things, the high-tech gaming world. And he's on the phone right now. Enough of me talking. Birdman, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys doing today?
Good. So you got Right Click coming out tomorrow. Just go ahead and give us the quick and dirty. What are you talking about in tomorrow's edition of Right Click?
So, yeah, I'm going into a deep dive on what is one of the most important stories in the gaming industry within the last 12 months plus, and it is a true to form deep dive of Assassin's Creed and the overall Assassin's Creed, but specifically the one that came out today, and obviously we'll discuss that a little bit. But the article and the episode tomorrow is going to be intense, but in a good way, because like I said, I think this is the most important thing that's come out recently.
Well, I think people fail to understand the impact that the content of these games can have on society. You don't even realize sometimes as your kids, or for that matter, anybody, adults, put on the headphones and log in, they are exposed to a lot of stuff that people don't realize. It's not just games and fun. There's actually a whole lot of wokeism that gets put in these things. Am I right?
There is, and it's amazing how much things have shifted. One of the things that I mention more often in Right Click than anything else is we have completely gotten rid of passionate development and put in its place passionate social preaching and just garbage. We've backfilled what made this industry great and what really propelled it to where it is now, and now it's being trampled on.
Well, there's huge money in this. I mean, like massive money. Like just the competitive side is massive money. In fact, you told me one time like some of the prize packages that come out of these tournaments that you go to. But like name a couple. What are some of the big dollar prize packages you can expect to see in a competitive gaming environment?
Oh man, for the big ones, at minimum $1 million.
What?
The Call of Duty Champs that we went to last year, where my team won it, I think it was a 1 or a 1.5 million. Hearthstone, it's way bigger in the European and Asian scenes. I remember when I was probably 18, the guy that won the International Hearthstone tournament, which is a card game essentially. He at 16 years old won $16 million. It's crowdfunded.
What?
There's money here. I mean, the last tournament I was a part of was $200,000.
I don't know why I went to law school. Why'd I go to law school? What good does it actually do me? Well, all right. So Assassin's Creed is got its newest edition, one of the most successful games in all the gaming. And this is why I brought you on, because I want to talk about this. And I think people need to understand what is blended into some of these games that your family members may be locking down on for hours at a time. In fact, I will say, I don't know if you've seen it or not, though, Birdman. There's a piece that came out today. The Japanese Prime Minister himself is speaking out against the latest edition of Assassin's Creed. Tell us why.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm definitely going to deep dive. You're going to see tomorrow. The overarching story is basically this whole game, mind you, developed by a French developer. They have been standing on the fact that we researched this, we're doing it true, and bringing honor to the culture, right? Which has always traditionally been what Assassin's Creed is about. That's kind of their heart. They take an actual background, an actual historical place, and then they can put in a fictional story over top of it. But it rings true. What the Prime Minister is really having a problem with is that for the first time in Assassin's Creed history, you can go into the shrines around the area, the religious historical districts, and you can destroy them. And not only can you do that, yeah, and it's never been done before in Assassin's Creed. They've always honored that. Well, they're taking specific problem with it. Not just because you can go in and destroy things, but it was a complete turn away from the traditional Assassin's Creed mantra of putting in a fictional story over top. They're using actual individuals. They're doing they're doing storytelling around people who actually exist, but rewriting the history of them, and it's horrifically misleading.
Yeah, in fact, I saw that the Prime Minister himself said, "We will not tolerate anything that does dishonor to our culture."
Well, and you got to understand, though, this is where we get into the weeds on this, because the character that you're playing as he's a real man. He was a real man, but he never had any proof of being anything more than really a slave. And it's so important to know that one of the biggest factors, and there's a lot of them, of why the Japanese culture is coming at this so hard. Early in the game, you actually have, let's say, an intimate moment with his captor's sister. And this is important because her name was Ochi, I believe her name was. She was 18 emperors descended from her. 6 of her descendants are still alive in high places in Japan right now. And they completely tainted this woman's actual history. And these people, her descendants are still here.
Wow. But all right, now let me ask you this: is this the game where they made the samurai character? They chose to make a black samurai, but he also made him to be a black gay samurai. Is that the same game?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's they decided to just take the
they just went
the dice and
full
sling
on
them.
woke license on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, basically every character you interact with, you can have some standing of romance relationship with them, and you can bring it to a certain point. And they made very, very sure that one of the first ones you run into is a self-described non-binary Japanese individual who goes by they, them. And we're talking feudal Japan here.
This is a game. They're just writing this stuff in.
Well, and that's the problem, right? More than anything else, it's always been historically based, and it's not to twist anything of the historical basis that each game is in. They did that heavily. They warped heavily real historical meaning and artifact.
All right, so now there's one of the games, and maybe it's this one again, where as you choose your avatar, as you create your character, and you know how they let you choose your colors and choose the whatever, that you can actually choose one that has mastectomy scars. Is that this game, or is that another one?
So it's another game. About a month and a half or so ago, I covered that on.
So basically, you can have sex
right
reassignment surgery scars on your character to make you feel better about yourself.
Yes, and it's a game based around semi-dragon age, like medieval age with dragons in it. It's
because we know we had lots of transgender surgeries going on back then.
Yeah, I mean, it was nonsense. And they even said, the executive producers said that, and this is a direct quote, diversity was at the heart of development. You've lost the plot. I mean, you have.
Diversity is at the heart of our development. Okay, that really stands to reason. Not. By the way, how's that game selling?
Not well. The executive producer went out and made a fool of himself and said that they were going to sell more than everybody, and they had a spike because that game series is a beloved series, been around for ages.
Yeah.
And as people got into it, they realized it was terrible.
It was terrible because
It
they
was a
spent all their
poorly
time
written
trying to
game.
be woke, and
Yeah.
they lost track of their mission. All right, back to it. Assassin's Creed. So is it rolling out big? I mean, I know this is a big deal in your world in the gaming industry. Assassin's Creed's out. Everybody waits to see it's like getting the next iPhone for techies. Is it going to hit big, or is it going to die on the vine because of the controversies?
Well, so it's a little too soon to tell. Right now, we can only base it off of early player counts. Typically, it's only coming from one place, which is called Steam. It's the major PC gaming marketplace. It's where you go and buy your games digitally. Right now, there's been nothing that I have personally seen to make a statement on. Now, mind you, the game came out by definition today. And really, you can't start measuring metrics as an initial push until roughly around midnight of night of release, because typically it's like, so it came out today, which means at 11:59 yesterday it dropped, right? Midnight tonight is where you're going to start seeing it, because it's the people who got off work and they're going to binge it through the night, and that's where you'll see the real jolt. I don't know what to expect. So far, it hasn't been good from what I've seen, but I have to take that with a grain of salt. I've been around this enough to know I can't base any opinions yet.
So what you're telling me is tomorrow is like the hangover day, the day after the Super Bowl for people in the gaming world. They get the new game, they stay up all night playing it, and they come in just completely hungover and trying to stay awake at work.
Yeah, this is. I have a feeling this is going to be this is not going to be much of a honeymoon period based off of what I'm seeing, especially for what the Japanese government is pushing for.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Wow. All right, listen, dude. That's why I wanted you on, because I knew this thing was coming out today. I knew this is a big deal. I also knew you had a podcast coming out, and I was sure this was going to be what it was about. You nailed it. If folks want to watch your stuff, they can go to rightsidemedia.org, go to our YouTube channel, go to our website. But Right Click comes out tomorrow. Birdman, thanks for your time, buddy.
Thanks so much for having me, y'all.
Absolutely. See ya. That's just, I mean, it's crazy, the wokeness. The bottom line is this. You can't get away from the leftist attempts to try and corrupt every single part of our environment. And if they can't find you over here, they'll go over there. It's a full-on multi-pronged assault, and the gaming industry is no different. There's a lot of people that are influenced. There's a lot of people that participate, and there's a lot of people that are going to be sitting there going, I didn't know we had gay black samurais. That's cool. No, you knucklehead. That's not really what we are. This is called writing it to fit the woke narrative. All right, that was Birdman. You want to check out his stuff, check it out at rightsidemedia.org. In the meantime, we're taking a break. We'll come right back, get some text messages, and catch up on what you guys have been doing and thinking. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just saving the world one soundbite at a time. That was a cool conversation with Birdman. Do check out his stuff. Check out all of our stuff. All of our podcasters and the content that we have is really getting voluminous. Check it out at rightsidemedia.org. You can also, by the way, check out our merch shop. And I was talking to Natalie today, emailing back and forth, actually. She's got an update that we have some additional T-shirts and other things coming. So the merch store is there at rightsidemedia.org. T-shirts, hats, coffee mugs. And you've also got, oh, by the way, we still have a limited run of those highball glasses that have Rightside Media bulletproof influence engraved on them with an actual 308 round embedded in the glass. Bulletproof influence glasses are available at rightsidemedia.org. Let me get some text messages and catch up on some of those. John from Huntsville says, Birdman is awesome, and Auburn just beat Alabama State. He said, but I fear Clemson is about to give JP a chance to beat me at March Madness.
Hey, brother, I picked Clemson too. I'm in the boat with you. It's not looking good. And, of course, my second bracket, which is 100% perfect, is not the one I put in the group with John Paul. So,
darn.
Rats.
Darn.
But, hey, like I said, I'm going to come alive when the Sweet 16 comes. I always do.
Auburn did just win handily against Alabama State, and it's one of those things where you look at it and go, well, they were supposed to. And you're also really glad they did. So
Alabama State made it interesting for a half, but that was about
for a whole half, it sure did. Jim from Athens says, hey, Phil, since you're doing your show, I thought I'd update you. War Eagle, Auburn, 83, Alabama State, 63. Thank you, Jim. We had it up on the screen here in the studio, brother. We went ahead and decided to nix CNN for a while and have the Auburn game on.
What are they worth watching anyway, CNN?
You know, what do you do? What do you do?
There are DEI in terms of like we have them on the screen just to include them in the studio.
I got a text from Roxanne from Harvest wishing me a happy birthday. Thank you, Roxanne. I appreciate you. Colin from Decatur says, former law enforcement officer, in regards to swatting, y'all forgot to mention it's also dangerous for the neighbors if they're in, say, an apartment complex or a housing development, because even a 9mm can easily go through at least one wall in most modern homes. Point well taken. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate you. By the way, thanks for your service. Dave from Capshaw says, I'm going to put this on my Facebook page this weekend. And he's going to make his new profile picture the Tesla symbol. Nice. Kim from Athens says, I think swatting is now known well enough by the general public that no one can be ignorant of what they're doing. So no matter their age, religion, race, whatever, they deserve American justice. Good point, Kim. At some point, there's just no way you could possibly deny that you knew what you were doing and how dangerous it was. Mike from Florence says, how about making the no tax on overtime retroactive? Like a 30-year rebate check sure would make a nice retirement a lot more manageable. Mike, don't hold out hope, brother. I don't see it happening. Roughly in from Huntsville sends me a happy birthday meme, and I'm very appreciative. In fact, it's Thankful Thursday, so I'm very thankful. Thank you very much. Hey, you got a Thankful Thursday sound effect? We got time for it? Play me some Thankful Thursday, because I am.
Be more thankful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
We thank you so much for this bountiful harvest of Domino's, KFC, and the always delicious Taco Bell.
Have you said thank you once?
Thank you.
Nice. Well done. All right, we're about to take a break. When we come back from the break, I got to tell you, we're going to spend a little time talking about Tesla time. Tesla time. Y'all, have you seen the stories? I know you have. Listen, and some of it is happening potentially right here in our listening area. I'll tell you all about it. Tesla time, number 2 on the Triple Dipper. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. I'm talking about this show. Woo, goes from Huntsville all the way back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. I mean all the way down to that prettiest little town on the plains called Auburn. And yes, stretching across the border into Fort Benning. I called it Fort Benning, Georgia. Even parts of big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi thrown in just for good measure. Big old footprint. All right, so we got a thing going on right now, which is just boggling my mind. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was a Republican saying, hey, let's go attack a Democrat institution, there would be calls for people's heads. If Republicans are saying, hey, how about that electric car company? Oh, we don't like them because they're aligned with Biden. Let's go burn some. If that was happening right now, the Biden DOJ would have been hunting people down day and night. The level of angst from the left would have been just unbearable as the end of the world. The insurrection has arisen again. I mean, they would be holding a new version of the January 6th Commission. They'd be studying whether Russia collusion was involved. But if they're the ones doing it, whole different story. Case in point, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who's never struck me as somebody who's smart enough to tie her own shoes, but yet she's a congresswoman. Living proof that anybody can get elected in the United States of America. Jasmine Crockett is actually using her own platform to call for the downfall of Elon Musk as a person. You got that sound clip? I'm going to call for audio 1. This is Congresswoman, the much vaunted Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Play this.
Keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes, keep it short.
I mean, that's all she wants for her birthday. The Congresswoman. That's all she wants is for Elon Musk to be taken down. Okay. You know, when Democrats start calling for this kind of thing, what does it do? It actually empowers some of their rabble base. It emboldens people. And you can look at it and go, it's hard to take Jasmine Crockett serious, Phil. You say that, but you and I are rational people. Somebody voted for her.
Somebody's going to hear that and think take him down means kill him.
There are people out there that will see that as a call to arms.
Yeah.
And then there's also people that abuse their position in celebrity world. Jimmy Kimmel. So Jimmy Kimmel goes on the show and with a wink and a nod seems to imply, hey, don't you throw me in that briar patch. Don't you go burn those Teslas, you know. Let's play Jimmy for a minute and just see what you think about this. Go ahead.
Down other than the stock market for a change. Our co-president, Elon Musk, sent a SpaceX vehicle to bring the astronauts back, and when they landed, he fired them immediately upon landing. Tesla stock is way down, almost disastrously so. People have been vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles. Please don't vandalize. Don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so Elon Musk has been making the rounds in the right-wing media to try to appear to be a human being. Yesterday, he was guest of honor on the Ted Cruz podcast, where Sweaty Teddy, Ted Cruz seems, everything he knows about technology seems to come from movies he's seen. Ted asked Elon a question about the dangers of AI.
Is Skynet...
All right, you can stop it there now. The bottom line is, what you couldn't really gain as much from just audio alone is that the wink, wink, nod, nod was, please don't go burn a Tesla.
He took a long pause just staring into the camera after saying that.
Yeah.
Of like, please don't.
Yeah.
Anyways, obviously saying he wants them to.
Yeah. And then, you can also look at things like Tim Waltz. Tim Waltz, listen, Is he a chucklehead? Yes, he is. Is he a screaming liberal? Absolutely is. And is he also the governor of a state? Yes, he is. And was he also the vice presidential candidate? Oh, yes, he was. Tim Walz is out there calling for the downgrade, laughing over the downgrading of Tesla stock. Never mind the fact that, Governor, a huge chunk of your state retirement pension, the plans that your employees and your teachers and others take part in Minnesota, is wrapped up in the stock market, and a bunch of it is wrapped up in shares in Tesla that, as you laughingly, jokingly poke about, let's take it down a notch, guess what? You're just doing nothing but impacting negatively the retirement plans of your state. So this is happening left and right. Well, when you see it, it also emboldens chuckleheads like Indivisible. There's a group called Indivisible. We've talked about them on this show. Maybe they're listening right now. I don't know. And there are different factions of Indivisible, state by state. You've got Indivisible Alabama, and you've got Indivisible Tennessee. I've got a piece that came from the Post Millennial, and I'll give full credit. Both Emily Jones and Lee from Huntsville sent me a link to this particular story. So, nationwide progressive activist group, according to the Post Millennial, Indivisible, is organizing what they call direct actions this coming weekend, against Tesla dealerships in Tennessee. They're scheduled to take place around 1 p.m. at Tesla dealerships in Memphis, Chattanooga, Franklin, and Knoxville. They're calling for folks saying, hey, the weather looks good. We're going to do this. And they're calling it the Tesla Takedown. The Tesla Takedown. What does that mean? Well, right now, the planned direct action follows the fact that we've been having all these attacks on Tesla dealerships, Tesla vehicles, service centers, charging stations all over the nation. It's absolutely beyond the pale what we're seeing. By the way, take note of the fact that Tesla vehicles already owned by somebody in a parking lot, when you walk up and scratch your Nazi logos into the side of the vehicle, that doesn't hurt Elon Musk. He's already gotten the money from that sale. All you did was go after what is probably a Democrat driving a Tesla vehicle. All you're doing is taking a consumer who saved their money and bought something that they love and drove it to the grocery store, and you thought it'd be a great protest to scratch your graffiti in the hood. And I got news. First of all, it's asinine. Secondly, it's a crime, an absolute crime, like a crime punishable under the law. But right now, folks, I'm telling you, all you guys in the listening area in the Tennessee region, just know this. We are looking at, they're saying, a Tesla takedown weekend in Memphis, Chattanooga, Franklin, and Knoxville. Somebody asked earlier, I was on Butters and Lee, what do we do if they can link their, Indivisible's calls to Tesla takedown to physical damage, or for that matter, threats to life, limb, or property? Well, they're going to get prosecuted under the law. They absolutely are, and they should. They absolutely should. I've got an article here. In fact, it was the top of the news for Fox earlier, right as I was going on the air, and I've got to find it here. I had Alicia help me get that thing ready right before I walked on. Oh, where is it? It's the story of Pam Bondi actually saying, we will prosecute. Here it is. She made no bones about it. She came out and said that we will indeed prosecute to the fullest extent of the law, and that this is not going to stand. And what we're looking at is an absolute need to make sure that they understand that this will not be allowed in the United States of America, that we will not sit idly by and just say, that's okay, you do you, man, because, it's just a Tesla. But we're looking at right now, Pam Bondi saying that these suspected Tesla arsonists are going to be hit with federal charges of domestic terrorism. And I'm good with that. You got 3 individuals that were charged in federal cases already. They used Molotov cocktails. Think about that. They used Molotov cocktails to attack Tesla properties. She said that is domestic terrorism. Remember the kind of things that the Biden administration used to call domestic terrorism? We're going to root out domestic terrorism. It's the existential threat to who we are as a nation. Well, after climate change. Well, after transgenderism. Well, after, But yeah, systemic racism and domestic terrorism. And who were they arresting? Little old ladies praying outside of, abortion clinics. Now you got Molotov cocktails being thrown at Teslas. Pam Bondi said, the days of committing crimes without consequence have ended. Let this be a warning. If you join this wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, the DOJ will put you behind bars. So the 3 Molotov cocktail chuckleheads are facing charges carrying maximum penalties of 5 to 20 years. Like one of the guys. He's 41 years old. The dude's 41 years old. Adam Lansky, 41 years old. In January, threw approximately 8 Molotov cocktails at a Tesla dealership in Salem, Oregon. 1 vehicle completely destroyed, several others damaged. Lansky also threw a heavy object through the dealership window. At the time of the attack, he was also armed with a suppressed AR-15 rifle. Where was that going? How about Lucy Grace Nelson, who, by the way, is also known as Justin Thomas Nelson, was arrested in Loveland, Colorado after attempting to light Teslas on fire with Molotov cocktails. I think he, she, it is the one that set themselves on fire. Yeah, these are real serious people. In Charleston, South Carolina, Daniel Clark-Pounder, never trust a hyphenated name.
Never, ever.
Never trust a hyphenated name. Daniel Clark-Pounder, 24 years old, allegedly wrote profane messages against President Donald Trump and advocated for Ukraine around Tesla charging stations before lighting 3 of them on fire with Molotov cocktails. That's showing them, boy. Man, I'll tell you, you get in there and get her done, buddy. Listen, the bottom line, though, is we can poke fun at this. We can talk about what chuckleheads they are, and they are. But these are full-on criminal acts designed to do nothing but hurt people and destroy property. And it's wrong. And oh, by the way, it's being fomented by people who should know better. Like, how about Rick Wilson? Pray tell, Phil, who's Rick Wilson? Rick Wilson's a never-Trumper. Rick Wilson has a huge following on Twitter. Rick Wilson has also been on his Twitter and his Substack calling for people to go and attack Elon Musk and Tesla car dealerships. So at one post, he says, kill Tesla, save the country. That's his post. Kill Tesla, save the country.
What is that going to do, by the way?
It's gonna cause damage. Somebody's gonna get hurt.
Like, it's not going to stop Elon Musk from doing what he's doing. It's only going to hurt the working class people who have stock in it. They claim to be the party of the working class, but Tim Wall is saying, I love seeing Tesla stock going down. Well, that is so elitist of him, because the people he's claiming to be for are the ones hurting, not him. He doesn't hurt from it. So
yeah.
he sits back and he's enjoying it. And it's totally hypocritical.
He goes home and does man things and works on the gas burning engine of his truck.
Yeah.
Rick Wilson, by the way, is one of the leaders of the Lincoln Project, which was a major anti-Trump so-called Republican group. This is one of the things he wrote in his article. He said, Tesla is no longer just a car company. It's a bank for fascists, a goose-stepping hedge fund bankrolling political fever dream of Elon Musk and his Doge dreams of controlling the ruins of American government as he becomes Earth's first trillionaire and then the Emperor of Mars. This guy. The
Emperor of Mars.
This guy is really... So, and then he goes on. But the bottom line is what he's doing is he's trying to incite things. It's Elon derangement syndrome. I think that Elon Musk derangement syndrome is a variant, like viruses, kind of they kind of distort themselves and become variants.
It's a new variant.
It's a new variant of Trump, of TDS.
You need to get your Elon and Trump derangement syndrome vaccines. You catch it easy out there, apparently.
Oh, my gosh. All right, this is real, but it's also wrong. And even Elon Musk himself said there's some kind of mental illness behind all this. And I would say he's right, but they still need to be prosecuted. Shag Nasty, the atheist, checking in, saying if people had destroyed IBM computers back in the 1940s when IBM was selling computers to the Nazi regime, history would have judged them differently. What?
It doesn't even deserve a response.
I don't know what to do with that, Shag Nasty. I don't know what to do with that. Taking a break right now. We'll take a break, come right back, get a few text messages, and head to the house. Yeah, buddy. Phil Williams, Thankful Thursday. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Man, making common sense like a superpower around here. I'm giving you all the truth you can slap on a bumper sticker. Talking about some bulletproof influence saving the world. One soundbite at a time. Just pulling pins on truth grenades. Thought I'd get them all out while I had a chance.
I think you got all of them.
I think I did. John from Huntsville texting in says Butters and Lee both get an A+ for their equally fantastic performances. Birdman and JP both get an A+ for their equally spectacular performances. However, today's winner is obviously none other than the magnificent Phil Williams. I am thankful for that, John. And War Eagle. By the way, JP, my bracket, he says now officially busted. Clemson just lost by 2 points to McNeese.
I saw that, which, by the way, my JP2 bracket is one of only 4.48% of remaining perfect brackets, by the way.
Where is said bracket housed? Do you have it in another, you have another March Madness?
It's in the ESPN app.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah.
You've actually got it out there.
Yeah, no, it's out there. It's in several groups, just not John Paul's group that he's got for me. So I'm gonna take my victory lap while it's still perfect because it may be ending in like 5 minutes. So
there you go. Run with it while you can.
Yeah.
For right now, you are perfect.
For right now, yes.
Matt from Madison says, I'm with JP about Pam Bondi. A little less talk, a little more action. A little less conversation, a little more action, please. All this occasion and I'm sorry.
No, I was just about to say she has also still only been in charge for what 40, 50 days, if
that.
So I'm
not ready to get aggravated with her at all.
No.
I think some things are happening, and I think we're going to see more. So I still think she's a good choice. Jay from Hartselle says, LOL, I think the left finally figured out how to get us to buy EVs. There is that. I'm pretty sure that all of a sudden Elon Musk is like selling cars to people that never would have bought electric, just because out of spite we're buying them, right? John C. from Madison says, for those people that are caught vandalizing, Tesla cars or sales lots should be publicly canned under a live TV. Canned? What does that mean?
Like arrested.
Oh, caned. I think he's saying caned. That's what they do in
caned.
I think they do it in Singapore. They actually cane you like a bamboo rod. It'll leave a mark. Yep, it'll teach a lesson. Bobby from Huntsville says, if I had a Tesla and somebody scratched it for spite, I'd be calling you, Phil, for bail money and representation. Brother, you let me know. I'd be there for you. Lynn from Tanner says, what is the most crazy about all this hate against Elon Musk is the fact that the ones that are hating are the same ones that were trying to force us all into buying electric vehicles. And I also feel like if the Biden administration had hired Elon Musk to do the same exact thing, all the Democrats and liberals would be cheering for him instead of hating on him. Lynn, I'm pretty sure you just nailed it. Give me some applause for Lynn. She encapsulated the entire thing perfectly. Scott from Athens sends me a link to something that I can't go look at because it would take me off the screen that I'm on, so I'll go to this one. Joanna from Hartselle says, oh, Joanna, thank you for that. She says, happy birthday, you make the world a better place. I am honored by that. Johanna, I'm thankful for you too. I appreciate you. And then David Abucky's saying, happy birthday, Phil. And then, by the way, John from Huntsville timing in real quick. JP, I also have a perfect bracket that is not part of the JP Madness group.
So we're both in the same boat.
So you both say.
But by the way, did you see Dave from Buc-ee's took a picture with the Buc-ee's mascot saying happy birthday to you? And
I did not. Wait, where did I miss this? Is it on the... Are you kidding me? Save that. Can you save that?
Yeah, I can, yeah.
David of Buc-ee's sending me a happy birthday with the actual Buc-ee's mascot. Okay. You know what? That one may win the internet today. That's awesome. Appreciate you, man. Thanks so very much. All right, you guys. I think I hear music. That means it is indeed time to call it a day, but I'll just tell you right now, there's more of us than there are of them. God is still very much on his throne. Y'all stay in the fight. We'll see you tomorrow.